Farlows is a really, really pressured day ticket fishery. Loads of islands and bays and snaggy corners and weed.
Lots and lots of anglers on here, so you just slot in where you can.
When you're fishing lakes like this, you want to be on the ball and looking for them all the time. Absolutely simple tactics. So if I can do it, you can do it, and that's the concept of the approach. Well, move and swim, slight change of tactics, and it's paid off. Very happy man. Welcome to another episode of The Approach. This time we're at Farlows Lake in the heart of Colne Valley, a really well-known day ticket venue that is home to some absolute bangers. I've got Lee with me and I've got Joe with me this time, both very experienced carp anglers. So I'm really looking forward to picking these guys' brains over the next few days. Lee, what's your sort of angling? What have you been up to?
So normally my type of fishing is big, low stock, hard waters, one bite a season type of fishing.
Really?
I have done this sort of day ticket fishing in the past, but sort of progressed into that.
Yeah.
And that's what really floats my boat, sort of targeting one bite a season, really.
Well, I know you've had more than one bite a season, so
I've had a good year, yeah. I've
you've
been
done
lucky
really
this
well,
year, mate. Yeah.
So it'd be good to pick your brains this year because I know you're on a fly.
Well out of my comfort zone, so this is going to push me to do something different to normal, which is good.
What about you, Joe?
This sort of thing I'm quite used to, actually. You know, I do a lot of this sort of stuff all over the country, really. But I've also got syndicates that I go to, so I'll sit there, might be two or 3 days for a bite. Same type of thing as Lee, but obviously not to that extent, you know.
Yeah.
But I do love my big fish angling, but a mix of both things, really. Teach, obviously, my tuitions and stuff. So, yeah, a wide variety of angling, if you like, you know what I mean? Yeah, both small and big fish.
So we've got a mixture of everything, really.
Should be good, it's perfect,
Should
really,
be a good
haven't we?
one.
We've got all angles covered.
Okay, next thing we can do, go get in the van. I know there's 3 or 4 swims over in the corner over there. The whole lake is packed.
Yeah, it's rammed, mate.
I don't know how close they are to each other, but we'll go around
Let's
and
go and have a look.
Here's
What we can do.
Let's do it, boys.
Make the best of it.
Let's go.
Let's do it. So, we're at Farlows. I've not been here for 15 years, probably, maybe around 15 years. End up in a half-decent swim, actually. I've got quite a lot of open water in front of me. It's a good opportunity to be able to see exactly what's going on out in the lake, which is one good pointer. There's not many features out there, but there's quite a lot of weed. But there's a few clear spots, I'm pretty sure, in amongst that I've been told, funny enough. So I'm pretty sure that I'll be able to find somewhere to fish. And these sort of places always end up having somewhere where you can fish, usually. So it's just about, literally, I'm going to probably go in with a naked lead, have a little bit of a lead around, try and find a few clear spots, a few clear areas where I can place my baits, present my baits, and we'll see how we get on from there. This is a really busy day ticket water. Lots and lots of anglers on here, so you just slot in where you can.
So luckily, the South Jay and Joe are on this trip, and we actually all fancied the swims that we're in, so we didn't even have to do a draw. Like I say, I was here first, and I actually see a number of fish out in front of this swim that I'm in. I think this is peg 43. Joe actually fancied the swim that he's in, which is 44, and Jay's in 45, and he liked the look of the swim with the island and that in front of him. So yeah, there was no drawing for swims. It all worked out really well, to be fair. So I think the fish are holding in this area at the moment because it's extremely busy, and the weekend was madness. There was nearly every swim taken, I think. So the weather this week is not great. We've got sort of variable winds, no strength to it. Air pressure's not great. It's warm days. I think it's been 27 today, so it's not ideal fishing weather, but there's a lot of swims on here and a lot of pressure, and these fish will be moved around the lake. At the moment, I think we're all 3 of us, I think, are genuinely pretty happy and pretty looking forward to what the night brings tonight.
So my first impressions of Farlows, I've actually come here probably 15 years ago on a social, middle of winter, absolutely barren, and I thought, not a bit of me really, but then coming through the gate and driving around, it's really nice, it's stunning actually. All the swims are set out nice, they're all gravel, it's nice and clean, and it's a really nice lake. The lads have picked their swims as we're on the approach. I'm the nice guy, I let them pick first. So they've picked a couple next door to me. To be fair, I'm really happy with this swim. I like it. There's a lot of fish showing out there. I'm hoping to nick one quick. There's loads of them on the surface. They're all jumping around. There's a zig band, so you're not allowed to use zigs. They've got loads of room in them swims there. They're in swims 43 and 44, which holds a lot of open water. I believe there's a couple of bars out there. There's an island long, so I'm hoping they're going to get their rods over there and fill it in, because I've got a feeling that is the way to catch them out of there. You've actually caught me while it's a bit cloudy. Looks like a big cloud that's just gone over the sun, but it's a really hot day today. And when we first turned up, there's fish all over the surface. So I'm looking forward to catching them off the top if I can. I know it's quite prolific in here, so it should be fun. Spot a load of mixers out and see what happens. So, just done a little bit of surface fishing. The fish were in the swim over on the top. I thought I'd flick some baits out, and Catapult just couldn't get them at the range I wanted, so dug the old spod rod out, which I'd be using for my normal fishing anyway. And a couple of spoms later, the fish started feeding on them. Just the extra 20 yards, that's all I needed. And yeah, this one's been out there a while, to be fair, but just absolutely ripped off. As soon as the winter ended, surface gear went in the van and it just stays there the whole time. And any opportunity you can have a go on the top, you do. So hopefully we'll get this one in and hold it up for the cameras for you, because this will be my first ever Farlows Carp. Absolutely spot on. Lovely. An old dark mirror. Don't think it's very big, but it's the first. And still a few out there, so I'll probably just get this one out nice and quick. See if we can nick another one. Got a great start. Well, I'm a very, very happy man, because we've only been here a few hours. Real opportunist. I realised that I had some mixers in the van, grabbed those, spotted them out, fish just come up straight away, and after a little bit of persistence on the hook bait, this one went. So I was very, very pleased. Some new surface gear that we're testing out is nailing them, so I'm very, very happy. We're going to get this one back, little mid-double I suppose. But my first ever one from Farlows, and I am really, really happy with this, so let's get her back. Morning, Joe.
Morning,
What's
mate.
Right.
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. So.
Rods are up against the bivvy, so
What's
the crack in this swim? What's your tactics, bait? Talk me through, mate. What's the...
Well, okay, so I've had a little look about.
Yeah.
There's been 1 or 2 fish showing at a bit of a distance. Looks about sort of like a 90, 100 yards, something like that.
In your swim, in your area?
In my area, yeah.
That's the thing with this lake. It's got a load of boundaries, isn't it?
Yes.
And you look at the map and you're like, is that in my boundary? Is that not in my boundary? But,
Totally.
I mean, it's pretty kind of marked out, isn't it, really? It's not...
It is.
I can't see people really casting over
No.
if they're looking into their boundary properly.
Yeah,
you know? It seems
definitely.
to be all right like that.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a map that you can look at, haven't they,
Yeah.
with all the lines. And one of the things that I noticed, especially with this swim, is that, well, these few swims actually, is they all face that way.
Yeah.
So as soon as you stand in here and you look out, that's not your water.
No, no.
And so, like, I've seen the guy already casting, I'm thinking, hold on a minute, it's in my water, but he's nowhere near it.
Yeah.
So this water sort of commands a bit of water going that way. So I've got my head around that. So
Well, the thing is, you've got islands and the line touches the corner of the island, doesn't
Yeah.
it? So you go, right, okay, anywhere from the right of the island
yeah,
to the right of that post is my
yeah, you've
swim.
got like a pile on there.
Yeah,
You can kind of just
so-
go to the left of.
That's
So
cool anyway. Yeah.
that's the areas I'm sort of like looking at. Bait wise, 15mm cell. I'm just using a new one from Mainline Fish Mill.
Okay.
It's been doing quite well on several venues.
Right, okay.
But I suppose bait is a bit of a funny one, isn't it? Because it's venue to venue. I've always said it's always been, venue dependent, really. You can go
Right.
somewhere and it don't catch or anything. You go somewhere else, it does.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the fish just have a preference for it, don't they?
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll like it, and sometimes they don't. It's just one of them
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
But I'm just gonna literally bait with boilie.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna use any particles, anything small in here. I know we've got some big bream in here, some massive bream
Yeah,
shoals.
exactly.
Want to try and keep them at bay if I can.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's going to be my plan really from the off go.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
one of the things that I've sort of done a little bit of research on here.
Right.
Is that at this time of the year, if you're using particles, if you're using any sort of crushed baits,
Yeah.
you're going to get hammered with bream.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even small boilies going to get hammered with bream.
Right. Okay.
So I think we're all kind of thinking along the same lines
Yeah.
of stop them before,
Steering clear of it.
don't even let them start.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I
100%.
normally always go in with crushed baits, loads
Yeah.
of liquids. I think everyone on these sort of venues does the same thing. I've seen quite a lot of bait boats going out.
Yeah.
So for me, on a venue like this, bait boats are really good, like under the trees and all that sort of stuff. Because
Yeah.
it's kind of, you can get places where no one else can.
Yeah.
But in open water, I like the open spread of bait.
Yeah,
So for
yeah,
me,
yeah.
the open water is where you need that open spread of bait. The fish can come in, they can graze around and actually eat free food
Right.
without getting caught.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
with
yeah.
a bait boat, 90% of the time when they're coming in, in my mind's eye,
Right.
they're coming in, they're eating, and they're getting caught.
Right.
When you're putting a spom here, a spom there, a spom here, then your rig's there.
Yeah.
They can eat all of this and they don't
Yeah.
get caught. They can eat all of this, don't get caught. By the time they're reaching your baited area,
Yeah.
like where your hook bait is, they're really confident.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
If they're eating off the tree line every time and they're eating on the margin, they're getting caught.
They're getting caught. Yeah.
All of a sudden they spook off the margins and it
Yeah.
gets really hard to catch them. So
Yeah.
for me, don't get me wrong, I'd use a bait boat in the edge and try
Right.
and get one under a canopy or something like that.
Yeah.
But in open water in an area like this, on a lake like this,
Right.
definitely spodding or throwing stick for me.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
For me, when you come to somewhere like this, just try and do something a little tiny bit different.
Yeah.
Even if it is just literally putting your bait slightly wider in area, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Well, anyway, I'm going to let you get your rods out, mate. I've bored you long enough.
Yeah.
And
Happy days.
I'll get back to my rods.
Yeah. Well.
Nice one, dude.
Enjoy. So the 2 types of bait I brought with me is the cell, which is like an all-time favourite and it works anywhere. In fact, wherever I've taken it, I've caught fish on. And the other type of bait is the new fish meal from Mainline as well. That's a really good bait. It's been doing really well up and down the country. It's relatively new, but it has been catching a lot of fish everywhere, sort of thing. But what I do with these types of baits is I don't just use them straight out of the packet. I sometimes do, but a lot of the time I like to sort of boost their attractiveness. And there's a couple of ways I do that. I use quite a lot of smart liquid from Mainline, and I really, really like the fruit type smart liquid. It goes really, really well with the cell. Cell's kind of like a bit of a creamy kind of food type bait, like a milky type bait. And this really, really complements it. They do also another type, which is the cream flavour, but this seems to work all through the year. Really comes into its own in winter, to be fair, but it does work all through the year. So I kind of just stick with one. But what I do with this is, it's a little trick that I've used for quite some time, is I grab myself some skimmed long life milk. You don't want the normal stuff because that goes off within no time, but the long life milk lasts for ages. You can keep it out of the fridge for 3 or 4 days anyway, so if you're on a long session, it'll last. I normally use half of it for my tea, so I'll pour it into another container, and I'll take the other half and I'll fill it up maybe with like half a bottle of smart liquid, shake it all together, mix it all together, and then put it all over my boilies and my feed. And then you end up with a little bit of a sort of mix like this, if you like, sticky, kind of like gloopy. And it actually makes the smart liquid go a little bit further. And as you can see, it creates like a crazy, crazy cloud. That tends to hang about on the bottom for a long, long time because the liquids, you know, when they're mixed together, the smart liquid on its own is really, really heavy liquid. The basis of it is a whey protein. So that's really, really heavy, and it takes ages for it to break down. And then for the other type, which is the fish meal bait, really simple actually. I've just been using the fossil oil additive. This has got a feed stimulant added to it already. It's widely used in the fish farming industry, but this is a fantastic additive, especially at this time of year. Don't think about using it in the winter. All it does is just gloops up. Water and oil doesn't really mix, but when the water temperature gets above a certain temperature, it works really, really well. What I tend to do is I tend to just drizzle it over the boilies, and it goes a long way, so you haven't got to go too crazy with it. So the top layer's covered, and just give it a bit of a shake so that they're all covered. And the great thing about this is not only does it create a lot of attraction once it goes on the bottom, what happens is you'll get little tiny globules of oil that break off of each boilie, so that gives you loads of attraction. But the great thing about it as well is, especially this time of year, fish meals or any fresh bait tends to go off really, really quick. So with that in mind, the oil it acts as a preservative. It's really, really good to preserve bait with an oil or any types of liquid. The smart liquid does exactly the same for the food type bait. And the oil does that exactly the same thing for the fish meal type bait. So if you're doing a longer session or it's a really hot type weather, get yourself a bucket, drizzle of oil, and you can keep topping it up as well. You haven't got to just do it once, because what you'll find is that bait will soak that oil in, and you'll end up getting a little layer of it if you check it every other couple of days, or it depends how long you're on your session for. If you check it, break one open, you'll find that the oil is being absorbed to it. So you can keep doing that and keep doing that, and you'll end up with a really nice, rich, oily bottom bait, as a feed. So that's the other type of thing I've been doing. And so I'm probably going to spawn this bait out later on this afternoon, and just as it gets a bit dusk and we're losing a little bit of light, I'm probably going to throw in, use the throwing stick to put a bit more bait around the area to create a bit more of a feeding zone rather than it just being in one area. So that's the highlight of my bait, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Let's just hope we have a few fish, eh?
So I've woke up to motionless bobbins. Every carp angler hates that feeling, but it's done and dusted. There's been a couple of swims that have come free down the bank, and when you're fishing places like Farlows, it's a mega busy day, Ticket Lake, and you need to be on your toes, and there's a couple of swims come free, and I'm gonna move. The reason I'm gonna move is I haven't seen much in here after last night. Literally, the wind changed and they just buggered off over the other side. I spent a long time surface fishing yesterday, caught one, didn't do any marker floating or any of that sort of stuff, so I pinged out 3 singles. To be expected that I woke up with motionless bobbins. But like I say, there's a swim come free, so I'm gonna get on my toes and go up there now, take a couple more bivvy pegs out. That's the joy of having the old escape bivvies. They're so quick to move. When you're fishing lakes like this, you wanna be on the ball all the time. You wanna be fishing for these fish and looking for them all the time. And places like this, you need to move. I've seen loads of fish over to my left-hand side now, which to me indicates that's where they are. They might not be there tomorrow, but today they are, so I'm gonna get on my toes, I'm gonna move. So when you're fishing places like this, sit at the front of the swim, bring a chair, don't talk to your mates too much, don't be on your phone all the time, and just get there, find them, and then hopefully you'll catch them. So as you can see, I'm in the swim and the rods are out. When I first got in here, put the marker out, roughly at about 18, 19 wraps, because that's my boundary. Pulled back, found a lovely silt channel, really, really nice. And the way you find the silt is you basically pull it back, and when it goes super smooth, then you know you're in silt. If you've got any kind of lag or any kind of pull, then that's going to be weed, and if it taps, that's going to be gravel. So basically, I was on my boundary, it felt a little bit weedy, it was quite a hard pull, and then all of a sudden, it went really smooth, like glass, like there's nothing attached to it at all, and that is the perfect spot. So that's at about 17.5 wraps. I'm looking forward to getting the bait out there, because I can imagine it just sitting all in the silt. Talking of bait, I'm going with a boilie only approach. There's loads of bream in here. So I've got a mixture of 15 and 18 mil boilies. I've chucked a load of hydro spod syrup onto them. So they've got loads of attraction, and that is all I'm using on this session. So I'm gonna get some bait out now, and hopefully we can get a bite.
So, this is the haired rotator rig. So the reason why I'm using this rig, the rotator rig has a little tiny swivel attached to the shank. Let's forget the slip D for a minute, but if you hold the two together slightly in your fingers like this, you can kind of gauge roughly how much space you've got in between the bait and the actual hook itself. Now, what happens is when that's out in the lake, the fish obviously suck that in and blow that out, and they get caught. Don't get me wrong, it's still a very effective rig. But there's not a lot of space in between the bait and the hook. This is the main reason as to why I ended up tying this rig as I have. The other thing as well is the way this sits out in the water. It isn't, it's fished as a wafter. Often get questions whether you can use it as a pop-up. You could use it as a pop-up, but it really is a wafter rig. So the way this is to be presented is that the hook will actually kind of sit just hovering off deck. It doesn't matter if it sits a little bit like that. So that's how it sits out in the water. So the hair rotator rig, tie one up, give it a go.
So this is the rig I started with. It's a simple rotator rig. I put that out yesterday, and I spotted a load of crumb and boilie over it. But after catching 2 bream quickly, I decided I needed to change today. I think the bream had come in and actually cleared me out of bait. So what I'm going to go with now is a standard cell wafter, and I've re-topped up my spot, and I've only put in boilie and a few tiger nuts to try and keep the bream off. So let's show you the rig that I'm going to go with now. Still going to be a stained uni leg clip. So let's start off with the tubing. This is rock bottom tungsten tubing. I like this product because it's super heavy, sinks down really, really well, and pins everything to the bottom. It's nice and easy to thread, which anyone who's used tubing knows that, you know, that's a big thing. Threading tubing can be an absolute nightmare. Always wet your line to start with. I find it helps if you cut a little tiny, get your main line and just cut a little angle on the end of it, and that makes it easier to thread it through. Then we get, there we go. Now let's start threading it through. Like I say, normally this is no worries at all. Normally this threads really nicely, this tubing. I've got 2 blobs of rock bottom tungsten putty up above my tubing. I like that all the time, just to pin that last few feet down, keep it out of the way of the fish so they can't knock into it as they're moving around the spot feeding. So next I need a uni leg clip. Thread that into the tubing, that grips it nice and tight. Tie that onto there. I'll just use a 6-turn blood knot. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Bit of saliva. Bed that down nicely. Trim that. We're going to fish this so the lead drops off. So we're going to have it that way round. Slide the insert up, push it right up into the clip, like so. Right, so that's the lead clip now in. All you've got to do now is add a lead. Literally just slide it in over the clip. Perfect. That will eject every time you hook a carp. It will come up, shake its head, and the lead will come off perfectly. If I wanted to keep the lead on, I'll just pull the insert out, slide it into the little groove, and then the lead doesn't come off. Next part, adding the hook length. the hook will lay on the lake bed, the bait will just waft off it. They suck it up, it will fly up in their mouth because it's really balanced nicely. A nice sized lump of putty will pull the hook down into the bottom lip. It's going out tonight on all of my rods on that nice clear bit of gravel over that cell, and I'm certain if they turn up and start feeding, that rig won't let me down and I'll catch a carp on it.
I'm going to get some grub on, mate, because I'm getting a bit peckish.
Good cooking. It's been a busy day.
Yeah, it has been a busy day, yeah.
Not on the catching carp front yet.
No, not really, no.
Hopefully, tonight they move back down in front of us.
Yeah,
and,
sorry, mate. With any luck, yeah. We've got a nice pepper stir fry. It's so easy to do. This is like, so easy.
That's a lot of salad.
Yeah. But the thing is with it, is when you shut it, the steam cooks the actual veg, and it comes out all nice and crispy. Go on top of that, Singapore rice noodles. Bosh, stick that on there. And we've got barbecue chicken pieces, lemon and herb, just chicken. Might as well stick it all on. So what's the plans for tomorrow or tonight? What do you think's going to happen?
Well, I reckon when the wind dies down, they're going to move back out in front of us.
Yeah.
I reckon we've got a chance in the morning, but if not, I definitely think a move has got to happen.
Right.
That's 2 days in then, and it ain't happened yet.
Yeah, it has been a quiet night, innit, to be fair.
I think I messed up yesterday putting boilie crumb out. Bream moved straight on it and wiped it out. I think come the morning there was no bait there at all for them.
Yeah.
And I was up at first light and there was a few shows out here.
Right.
And I think if there was bait out there, I'd have probably nicked one.
Yeah.
So today I've gone in with just boilie and a few tigers.
Okay.
Hoping the bream won't clear it out, and then tomorrow morning if the fish are there, we should convert that chance into bites, hopefully.
Are you convinced that the bream's done that then, Theo?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. I really do think. It was straight away. I put 25 spoms out and caught 2 bream straight away. I reckon we'll catch tonight. Tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
I think going in with 25 spoms of crumb, half boilies and corn was the wrong tactic. I think what's happened is the bream come in, and I honestly think by probably 8, 9 o'clock last night, I had nothing but 3 hook baits out there.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And I think this morning when there was a few fish about, I was literally fishing 2 singles out there, and that was it, because I used 2 rods last night.
Yeah, definitely.
That's why today I've gone with just whole boilies and tigers.
Yeah.
I think the trouble is, like me personally, I'm not used to fishing busy day ticket lakes like this. I don't think they're worried about spomming and casting and all that.
They've seen it a million times here.
Yeah.
It don't bother them.
Yesterday, Jay put a float up and they were swimming around the MarkaFloat, weren't they?
Yeah. If anything, all it does is it gets them more active.
Yeah, intrigues them.
Because it's normally a spom.
Probably times where it does spook them off.
Oh yeah.
When they're feeding, definitely, I think they'll probably come to the spom.
Definitely. Well, that's looking good, that grub in there, mate.
Look at that. Full square.
Finally. Yours? It's in. Lovely. Well done, mate. Cheers, Lee. Come on. Really happy with that. Really happy with that. 17-1. So, first bite of the session. Around about 9 o'clock in the evening. So put a fair old bit of bait in. And we're just waiting really for a bite. and had this little spawned out mirror, which is looks a bit aged, doesn't it? Nice old scaly mirror, which is quite a nice welcome. So yeah, really pleased, to be fair. On a nice sharp size 4 apex beaked hook, with my little rig that I've been showing you earlier, and yeah, been catching so many fish on it this year. It's been great. So really pleased to have this. So hopefully the start of something good.
First bite, literally, what is it, 20 minutes after Joe's, half an hour after Joe's. We see a lot more fish showing over us this evening. Both felt like we had a good chance of a bite. And both of the bites have come over quite a bit of bait, so hopefully it's the sign of a busy night. So the bites come to the blowback rig that I tied up earlier on a standard wafter, just a no topper, nothing, just a box standard cell wafter over quite a lot of bait, which is a really good sign that they're out there feeding. Here we go, get up there, boy. There we go, number 1 from Farlows. Nice 26-pound mirror. Caught on a size 4 apex beak point, blowback rig, on a 15mm cell wafter over a loader cell. It's the first bite, hopefully. That rod was plumb in the middle, right in the middle of it, so hopefully, got 2 more on the spot. Fingers crossed this is the start of a busy night for both me and Joe, because obviously Joe's just had one as well. So yeah, great start. Love the old mirror.
Beautiful. Yeah, mate.
So there we go. Number 2, just a couple of hours after the other one. I think what I'm going to do is put another 5 or 10 spawn loads of bait out and just keep it going. See if we can start building a, you know, a good catch. There's obviously a few out there having a go at the moment, and just going to keep press and repeat. Hopefully carp like this keep coming our way.
So just at first light, literally not too long ago, actually, the other rod went off after last night's fish at around about 9 o'clock. It was pretty much quiet. I put some more bait out on top of what I'd already put out anyway. So it'd been, the fish had been there, but just waiting for a pickup really. And then, like I say, first light, this one went off. And it's an absolute peach of a fish, to be fair. I weighed her in at 29.9, and she spawned out as well. But beautiful fish. Scales on that, incredible. Lovely dark shoulders. Picked up a homemade cell hook bait actually, to a size 4 apex beak point hook. 25-pound camo hook link, and yeah, fishing sort of straight through because we're not allowed any leaders here, which is quite important to remember. I'm just fishing as accurate as I can remember, as I can as well, which is one of the things to point out. You know, when you're baiting over a distance as well, just try and keep that bait going in accurately, and then when you put your hook bait in, try and make sure that's really accurate as well. But yeah, really pleased. I'm so pleased, to be fair, because we was getting a bit concerned into the second night and we're not really had many fish, and then suddenly it's gone a bit crazy. So yeah, Lee had another one last night, and I've just had this one, so hopefully a sign of a few more to come. But I'll flip around and show you the other side, shall I? Really lovely fish, amazing fish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some more bait out, which I'd already done actually. I've already put some more bait out, just to keep that baited spot topped up and keep the bait going, keep the fish interested. You know, they are still there. I'm just literally waiting for another bite really. So yeah, just going to keep the bait going in, and hopefully we'll nick a few more.
Time to get the bait out. Very, very simple approach on here. I am going with a spawn, and I'm going with 18 and 15 mil DNA based S7 boilies, nice fish meal mix, and I'm covering it with the S7 Hydro Spod mix. It just sinks to the bottom really, really good, causes loads of attraction, and that's what we want. But there's lots of bream in here, so we don't want to attract them and keep them on the spot. We want them, if their bream are going to come in, they're going to come in and they're going to nick a few, but I'm still going to be able to, you know, warn them off a little bit with the bigger boilies. They don't like them. They'll happily eat crumb and crushed all day long, and especially particles, so I'm definitely staying off of that. So I'm happy with my 18 and 15 mil boilies, literally spot them out there. Absolutely simple tactics. So if I can do it, you can do it, and that's the concept of the approach. The anglers that we've got on board, the anglers that we use, are all anglers that literally relate to all of us out there. If I can cast 190 yards or 200 yards, there's no point in me showing you that unless I'm actually teaching you how to cast that sort of distance. And that's the same with what I'm using with bait. I'm not using anything different that you can't go and buy. I'm not using any special ingredients. What I'm using is what you guys can go. And the same with Joe, and it's the same with Lee. We fish all very, very simple tactics and things that you can just follow us along and carry on and pass over into your own angling. So let's have a little chat about rigs. At Farlows, I'm not using any leaders whatsoever. I'm using the fluorocast straight through to a uni lead clip with a 3.5 ounce pair lead, fishing at about 17.5, 18 wraps. So it's really nice and comfortable range to cast in. I don't need a torpedo lead, so a nice flat lead. That's gonna sit in the silt perfectly, give me a massive anchor point from when the fish pick up the rig, and then that's gonna bolt off and it's gonna drop on the take. That's going to bring the fish up to the surface, and it's going to be a lot easier for me to play the fish because I know there's some bars in front of me that come up quite high, and I don't want them to plink along there because I know they're covered in mussels. So the higher I can get the fish, the better, and that makes life a lot easier if I drop the lead. Moving on to the rig end, I'm going along the theme of the fluorocarbon. Reason being, the lake is absolutely crystal clear. The silt isn't very deep, so it's going to be plugged into there. That's going to kick away because this is a lovely boom. I'm probably fishing at about 10 inches, which is fairly long for a rig, but that's kind of my preference in silty areas. And on the end, I've got a silk flex section, and that is really, really supple. And the knot that I've used is an Albright, and that's covered with a bit of putty. That's going to make everything sink, whether I fish with a pop-up, whether I fish with a wafter, doesn't really matter. That's going to be there, and that's like a little anchor point. So as soon as the fish suck it in, that part's going to want to drop, which means my hook's going to nail it right in the bottom lip. I've used this variation of the multi-rig so many times now that I've got ultimate confidence in it. Like I say, I'm really enjoying using the fluorocarbon because I know it's completely invisible out there. They will not see it. I love the fact that it kicks away perfectly, and when I'm using a wafter, that will just sit sideways on the lake like so. And if any fish come along, that is going to just nail them straight in the bottom lip. Ultimate confidence. Once them fish are on the spot, I know I'm going to nail one. You got Joe?
I don't know, it's either a bream covered in a load of weed or a carp covered in a load of weed, but I think it's a carp. Oh. I can't tell. It went for a weed bed. It had drop back. When I got round it, drop back, which is the first one I've had. Yeah. They've all been taped, like proper rippers, but it does feel like a carp.
So was it on the floor when you got?
Yeah.
Like right to the bottom?
Yeah.
And what made you pick it up? I know it sounds silly, but like, what kind of makes you think, right, okay, that's something that I need to hit, or just wait for it to go again, or?
Yeah, whenever I get drop back, so I always hit them. I know it's come towards me because they've picked the lead up, they've moved the lead, and they can only be going one way. Your net is here. Do you mind doing yours?
Yeah, of course, mate. Yeah.
Because it'll be round. I think it's going to be your side.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's in. Cheers, mate. So I was literally just about to have some dinner, and one of my rod's gone off. Been sitting over a little bit of bait this afternoon. Nothing particularly big, but hopefully the start of something good. It's like an oldie type mirror, very spawned out. Pleased to have the bite anyway. Picked up the old size 4s again. The Apex beat points. Mega sharp those hooks. You can put them out again and again and again, and they just don't go blunt. It's really weird. But yeah, fantastic hooks. Nice little carp. put some treatment on his mouth before I put him back. And we're going to go and have some scram because I am bleeding starving, and so are the other guys, actually waiting for me to cook. I don't know what that's all about, but it's all good. I'll slip him back, get the rod back out, get the dinner on, and away we go.
Sun's going down.
Yep.
Temperature's dropping.
Yeah, they've just started showing, haven't they?
Yeah. What time did you have your first bite last night, Joe?
I think it was about 9 o'clock, wasn't it?
Literally just before dark, weren't it?
Just before it got dark, yeah.
Did you put bait out before the evening dropped, or just put the bait out earlier?
No, you done it early in the day,
And then
didn't you?
just
You done it
wait
about
for-
9 in the morning.
Yeah, we done it earlier in the day
Yeah, and then just waited, yeah?
and just waited, yeah.
The only reason I say that is because I put bait out about midday today, and you know when you're on that bit where you think, shall I top a little bit up
Yeah.
before it goes into night?
Exactly.
I've watched a few coops over the spot, and there's no way they've taken. I'm probably put about 30 spoms out, I suppose, 35 spoms.
They've nicked a few, haven't they?
So they've nicked a few, but they've definitely not got it. So the bait's still there,
Yeah,
hopefully.
yeah.
I mean, I've not had any bleeps off of bream or anything like that.
No.
So
No, see, I've had 2 breams, so now I've put 5 kilo out
Yeah.
a day, and now I'm starting to think,
Have they
how
cleared
much
you
have
out?
they eaten, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
But there was a couple of bream roll over me. I caught 2, and now they seem to have gone.
Right.
That's the trouble with
I
the
don't
bream,
think
innit?
it would
When
have
they
been
come
enough.
in,
It's hard to.
They can
I
clean
did
you
put
out
a few
in
tigers
no
out as
time.
well,
Yeah.
so at least you know that they're still
You're
there.
still fishing.
Yeah.
yeah. And the mad thing is, you might not necessarily get a bite from a bream, but they'll clear you out. But if the carp
well, I
come
think
in,
you
get
had
a
that
bite
the
from a
first
carp.
day, didn't you?
Yeah.
Because you spawned
that's
out the
right,
crumb
yeah.
and that, and they were straight on it rolling,
Straight
but you
away.
didn't get a bite.
Yeah. Instantly.
That's fishing. I think we all have that all the
Yeah,
time.
we're all constantly doubting ourselves.
Yeah.
But in reality,
Yeah.
I think as long as you can go through the process of doing A, B, C,
Yeah.
then we'll soon find out tomorrow morning if we get bites or we
Yeah.
don't. Then you go, you know what? I'm not going to hurt by putting. Like say tomorrow night, you think, right, okay, I am gonna top a little bit
Yeah.
up. I am gonna. I mean, obviously after a fish,
It's like
you're gonna
building
be
a
putting
jigsaw
bait out.
puzzle and putting the pieces together slowly. The more time you
Absolutely.
spend it, the
Yeah.
more you learn as you're
Yeah.
going.
Yeah, and places like this as well, you're coming in after people. You don't know how
Yeah, you
much
don't know
they've
what's
put
there.
in.
No, you don't.
You don't know whether they've like literally gone single look baits or whether they've filled
Yeah.
it in. You know.
It's like we've learnt this zone seems to be a night zone.
Yeah.
We've now
Bream?
done, that was a bream,
That was
wasn't
a
it?
bream.
Yeah.
We've now done a couple of nights in here, and you can definitely see that of a day they spread out and go around the edges and around
Yeah.
the islands. But come the evening time, they start moving back.
Yeah.
And judging by the bites we had, like yesterday evening and a couple through the night,
Yeah.
and then as it gets light in the morning, they start edging off again.
Yeah.
And you can, there's definitely a pattern. I think in an ideal world, it'd be good to do the nights in here,
Yeah, and then move
then
around
move
during the day. Yeah.
if you could, but it's just too busy to do that.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, it's probably one of the most popular day ticket waters in the country.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Rightly
definitely.
so. I mean, it's got a lot of fishing there.
It has,
fishing
yeah,
nice.
and they're lovely.
And
Yeah.
you've got everything, haven't you? In reality, you've got the long range fishing, you've got
Yeah,
the edge
you have.
fishing, you've
Yeah.
got bars, weeds.
Yeah, it
you've
doesn't
got
matter
surface
what your
fishing.
capability is.
Yeah.
If you can't cast 100 yards, it doesn't matter.
Don't matter.
No.
You can catch them 20 yards out.
Yeah.
It's got everything.
Yeah.
That's what I think this approach is about as well. Is like whatever we can do, I genuinely believe that the anglers watching this can do it as well.
Yeah, 100%. And
And
hopefully
that's
everyone
kind of-
picks something
Oh,
up out of
definitely.
it
Yeah.
and use it in their fishing.
You know, we're not saying you've got to cast 200 yards and we're
No.
specialists at that. We're
No,
not
no,
saying
no.
that.
And
No,
you've
it's
got to have
literally-
these rods, got to have these reels.
It's literally a case of whatever we do,
Yeah.
anyone can do it.
Yeah, they can, yeah.
So what we've got for dinner, Joe?
Tonight we have chicken and pasta, tomato and herb pasta sauce. Easy.
Perfect.
Easy as 1, 2, 3. Ah, and the peppers. We've got to chop these up somehow. Or just step on them.
So the fish have really started showing this evening, more to my right. Just seen a couple go over the spot, and yeah, the rod's ripped off. Nice early bite. It's over 5 kilo a sail this, so hopefully there's a few out there and they want to have a bit of a feeder. Lovely, lovely scaly mirror. early on the Wednesday evening, about 10 o'clock. Lovely Farlows scaly mirror. Caught over 5 kilo of cell on a size 4 apex beat point. Been loads showing out there tonight. I reckon this could be the start of a busy night for us, hopefully.
So by the time in this swim, in sort of early morning, I've had 3 bream in the night. Been baiting up after each bream, just to top the swims up. It's now sort of quite early in the morning, it's probably about 7 AM. And this one's just tore off on the left-hand rod. It's not far out now. Doesn't feel like a huge fish, but put a fair amount of bait out. Hoping that they'd come here this morning, and it's worked. Mid-20 mirror. Happy days. My first proper Farlows carp. Oh no, it's not. It's my second Farlows carp. This is my first proper one. Off the bottom. Let's call this one the proper one. Well, move a swim, slight change of tactics, and it's paid off. 27.5 pounds. My first proper Farlows fish off the bottom, and I'm very, very happy. Straight boilies, a little bit of glug, spawned over the top. I've had 3 bream in the night, which I've been baiting up after each fish. Even though they're bream, I've still been putting the bait out because I think I'm getting cleared out. And about 7:30 this morning, this one's rattled off. I'm a very, very happy man. Beautiful fish as well, full like stink. Tried to get me the snags down to the left, but the old fluorocast stood strong, and I got her in nice and easy. Morning, mate.
Morning, Jay. All right, mate?
What a morning,
Yeah,
mate.
good night, mate.
Yeah,
Busy
you've done
night.
well, I know.
Busy night.
Yeah, even I nicked one.
Yeah, that's the result, wasn't it, this
Move
morning?
swims and
They're
yeah.
definitely doing what we said last night.
Yeah.
They're out here and then they move across of a day.
thing-
My area's dead of a daytime.
Yeah.
There's just nothing.
Yeah, it's the same. Up there yesterday, I moved in there. There was nothing there all day.
Yeah.
As soon as the sun went down, I noticed a few shows. I was out there watching the water a little bit. I could hear them. Then I had a couple of bream.
Yeah.
Put some more bait out over the top of that.
Yeah.
And then this morning one rattled off.
Perfect.
The thing is with Farlows, the whole margins is beautiful.
Yeah,
There's
it is,
bays,
yeah.
there's
Yeah.
islands.
It's got everything.
So that's where they're going to go in the day.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, they're
Shallow
not going to be
water.
sitting in this open water.
No.
And the thing is, the more we're watching the water, the more we're learning.
That's it. It's
Literally
non-stop.
down to like a spot that I was fishing there. I've changed tactics slightly. Where I was fishing, I'd noticed last night they were just moving to the left of it slightly.
Yeah.
And like this big island in front of me, and I'm basically fishing 3 rods from halfway through the island
Yeah.
to kind of the end. It's
Yeah,
not a
yeah,
very
it's not
big area
nice,
at all. But I noticed 3 or 4 fish rolling to the
Just
corner of the island on the left.
Edged them across.
So I've just put 1 rod further across, and that was actually
And that
the
was the one
first.
that done
That's
the
the one
bite.
that's actually done the bite.
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, just watching the water.
That's
and
what carp
watching them.
fishing's about.
Yeah.
In the end, if you watch enough, they show you where you need to be doing.
That's the
and what
thing,
you
the
need to be
spot
doing.
looked great. The spot is still great, and I'm
Yeah.
still really confident
Yeah.
on it. But just the fish showed me it was exactly the same
It
range.
might be the case
and it
that
just moved across a
you've
little
gone in behind someone and they fished it for a few days and
Yeah.
caught a few off that
Yeah.
spot, and they're
Yeah.
a little bit cautious of it.
Absolutely.
And they're just feeding around the edges a
Yeah,
bit
and
more.
I went in there and put 20 spoms out. Well,
Yeah.
probably a bit more than that, actually. I probably put 30
They
spoms
do
out.
eat a lot of bait. I think when they
Yeah.
come across you, you're not on about 1 or 2 fish. There's big
Exactly.
groups of
So it's
fish.
that turnover every day of new bait going
Yeah.
in, new flavours going
Yeah,
in. I mean,
yeah.
I'm using S7.
Yeah.
I think the guy before me was using Cell.
Yeah, they
so,
obviously-
like, it's a totally different
Yeah,
colour,
it's a-
totally
yeah.
different
Yeah,
smell,
whole
totally
thing.
different bait,
Yeah.
different sizing.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, like the carp in here are going to be eating everything.
Yeah, they do,
I don't believe that
100%,
there's a
no.
bait that's going to dominate because everybody in here will be using
such a turnover of
everything different.
anglers.
Yeah.
They must see every type of bait known to mankind.
All the Essex boys are going to be using the main lines and the cells and all that sort of stuff. And all the Northerners are going to be coming down. They're going to be using the DNA baits, the sticky baits, all that sort of stuff. And then you've got the mixture of all of them together.
I definitely
wouldn't
bring particle down here in the bream, especially in this area. Like a bit of research, this is notorious for the bream holding up in this deeper bowly type area.
Yeah. Are you fishing pop-ups, wafters?
Wafters, just match the hatch wafters. I started with bits of, like different coloured tippers, but it seemed to match the hatch ones were the ones that were going first.
Funny that, because the bite I had this morning was on the brown one, and I'm fishing with brown baits.
Yeah, so last night was the first night, all three of them were exactly the same. 3 cell, 15mm wafters over a load of cell and tiger nuts.
Perfect.
So the reason I think this is a nighttime area, it's a deep, flat area out there. It's about 10 foot. Farlows is a really, really pressured day ticket fishery. Loads of islands and bays and snaggy corners and weed. And I'm pretty sure what's happening, the other day, the fish are branching out, spreading all over the lake, going under the little trees and the islands and the snags and in the weed. But other night, they're coming away from the margins, out into the deeper zone. There's plenty of bait out there for them, and it seems that that's exactly what's happening. At daytimes, it seems to be devoid of fish out there, next to nothing. And the odd one that you do see, they're up in the water just cruising around. They're not dropping in 10 foot of water. It's been warm temperatures as well. So I'm pretty sure that's what's happening. So my baiting's changed. The first night I went in with the boilie crumb and whole boilies, and then I changed after catching the bream. I went to a whole boilie approach. What I've been doing is soaking the 18mm cell in lake water with some Cell Smart liquid for 24 hours, adding a few tiger nuts, and just using cell and tiger nuts. Simple mix, but it's avoiding the bream and giving the carp to find bait on the spot. I'm sure the crumb was just attracting the bream in and they were just eating it all. So I've been putting in about 4 kilo in a day, been reeling the rods in. This area I'm fishing, it's obviously a nighttime feeding zone. So I've been reeling the rods in for the day, putting in 4 kilo in one go, doing some more extra so I've got enough bait for the night to top up after bites. The reason I've been using it washed out, I believe it makes it look like it might have already been out there for 24 hours. Hopefully these fish are so used to swimming across patches of bait, and hopefully they're coming across a patch of bait that looks like it might have already been in the pond, lures them into the fact that it might be a bit of a safe zone and not just fresh bait that's just been put out there.
Well, what a great end to a great session. Joe's finished up with a cricket bat common when this lake is absolutely full of scouts, but you never know. It is what it is, mate. And Lee, what a session you've had, mate. You've had a load of them, haven't you? Yeah,
it's been a decent session. We've all caught though, so everyone's done their bit, It's been a good session, and nice way to finish with a lovely dark Farlows common. One thing I have learned is they do eat a lot of bait. If you're coming to Farlows, don't be frightened to bring a lot of boilie with you.
Absolutely that. Joe, should we get her back, mate?
Yep, she's
alive.
She's itching to go back, mate. That's it.
Right, come on in.
Great session. Fantastic.
Let's get back round the M25.
Let's do it.
Yeah.